Today, we are putting on our global education lens.
Yeah, we're looking ahead.
Exactly. Our mission is to explore the cream of the crop, the absolute top 12 destinations for international students as we look ahead to 2026.
And it's not just about, picking a name off a list.
No, definitely not. This isn't just about finding the highest ranked university. It's really about choosing a location, a whole environment that maximizes your return on investment.
Right.
So balancing that world-class education with, well, affordability, which is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Unforgettable adventure, and maybe most critically, those future career prospects.
That's really the core challenge we're digging into today. The source material we looked at, excerpts from the Top 12 Study Abroad Destinations 2026, makes it pretty clear that 2026 is, well, kind of a pivotal time in international education.
Pivotal how? What's changing?
Well, we're not just seeing the usual suspects, the traditional players anymore. I mean, they're still there, of course.
Yeah.
But this landscape is really being redefined by things like shifting visa policies, an unprecedented global focus on emerging technology, AI, green tech, all that. And crucially for students everywhere, a growing anxiety about, well, long-term affordability and, frankly, post-graduation viability. Can you actually stay in work?
Yeah, the complexity of this decision has definitely gone way up. It feels like students are trying to figure out how to future-proof their lives, knowing that a degree from a top university, well, that's only half the battle, isn't it?
Exactly.
They need practical pathways forward.
Precisely. And the sources, they really frame this choice around two fundamental intertwined questions for today's international student. First, where can I get the absolute best education? One that holds real global currency, right? The quality question.
Where can I secure the best path? The best route to employment, maybe residency, or at least long-term career growth after I graduate.
And you're saying the answers are changing. We are watching the traditional answers change pretty fast, yeah. There's incredible competition now emerging from, say, progressive European nations, offering low-cost options, and also these really dynamic Asian economies focusing on tech.
Okay, so let's try and unpack all this material and give our listener a clear roadmap. We've got 12 countries here. So to make the comparison, actionable, we're organizing these destinations into 3 logical categories based on their primary value proposition, really.
Makes sense.
First, we'll look at the traditional global powerhouses. These are defined by sheer prestige, scale, and those established economies.
The big hitters.
Second, we'll dive into the European model. This group seems to prioritize affordability, progressive societies, and that easy geographic access within Europe.
Yeah, a different kind of appeal.
And finally, we will explore the Asia-Pacific's dynamic destinations. These seem heavily focused on tech, high safety standards, and often really unique urban or outdoor lifestyles.
And I think this thematic grouping is essential. It really moves the discussion beyond just simple rankings,
Yeah. It helps you, the listener, identify the true cost-benefit analysis based on what you personally prioritize most. Is it the name brand, the cost, the job prospects?
Right. And just before we jump into section 1, I have to point out this little hook the source material gave us. They explicitly call out one country number 7 on their list,
Oh, yes.
South Korea,
Yeah.
as the destination that they believe will genuinely surprise people, surprise them with its speed of ascent and the unique value it offers.
It's a fascinating one.
So we'll keep that surprise element in mind as we delve into the Asia-Pacific section later on.
Definitely. Okay, section 1, the global education powerhouses. Let's start where the tradition kind of begins. The established leaders. These are the nations that haven't just defined international education for generations, but they also boast the kind of economies capable of sustaining massive research sectors and, importantly, employment sectors too.
Right. And it's almost impossible to start anywhere but the United States.
Yeah, still number 1 in many ways.
Well, despite the known hurdles, and let's be honest, the often prohibitive costs, the sources really confirm that the U.S. remains this unparalleled epicenter for global innovation, foundational research, cutting-edge technology. The sheer gravitational pull of American institutions, it's still pretty much unmatched.
I know the sticker shock is often the first thing that scares people off, though. So how does the source justify leading with the U.S. despite that massive cost barrier?
It really comes down to 2 things, I think: brand power and scale.
Okay.
Institutions like Harvard, MIT, Stanford, they aren't just universities, are they? They're global symbols of intellectual and academic dominance.
Right. The name carries weight everywhere.
Exactly. A degree from places like that carries immense weight worldwide. It opens doors, gives access to networks that are simply unavailable elsewhere. And the sheer scale. The U.S. offers thousands of programs, whether you're aiming for hard sciences, the latest in AI development, Finland's in New York, fine art. The diversity is just staggering.
Okay, but let's address that logistical barrier. Because historically, getting a student visa and then maybe trying to transition into the U.S. workforce, well, it's often described as a bureaucratic nightmare.
It certainly has been, yes.
The sources mentioned a key shift, though, towards greater accessibility for 2026.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like on the ground?
Okay, this is where the source material gets interesting. The key shifts seem to be twofold. First, there's the continuing refinement of policy mechanisms like optional practical training, OPT.
OPT, right, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and especially the STEM extension to OPT. So OPT allows international graduates to work in the U.S. for 12 months after graduation. But if you're in a STEM field, science, technology, engineering, math, you can get an extra 24 months. That's 3 years total.
3 years? Wow.
Yeah, and it's a structured path to get that temporary work experience, crucially, without immediately needing an H-1B visa sponsor and going through that whole lottery process. That's a massive draw.
Okay, that does sound like a significant improvement. And the second shift?
The second is what the source calls the maturation of hybrid learning models. Basically, some U.S. institutions are now offering more structured programs that maybe blend initial online coursework done from your home country with later on campus residency.
Ah, so you could potentially save some cost and manage logistics better early on.
Exactly. That flexibility can help students manage travel logistics and, importantly, the financial burdens in the early stages of their program.
Ah.
Okay, so the message seems to be, yes, the price is high, the competition is fierce, absolutely. But the infrastructure for bridging education into the workforce, even if just temporarily through OPT, is maybe better managed now than in the past, especially in those high-demand STEM fields. That seems to be the analysis, yes.
And the payoff in terms of just pure global recognition and access to cutting-edge research, it remains arguably the highest.
That's the argument the sources make. Now, moving across the Atlantic, the UK offers a different flavor of prestige.
Right, tradition.
Absolutely. Here you find these centuries-old academic traditions, Oxford, Cambridge, Edinburgh, LSE, blending pretty seamlessly with modern, often quite aggressive, globally focused research institutions. We're talking about places that have literally shaped Western thought for hundreds of years.
The UK always had that prestige factor, definitely. But the sources indicate that policy is what's fundamentally shifted its appeal for this 2026 cohort. Is that right?
Exactly. Nailed it. The most powerful lever the UK has pulled recently is the introduction and, crucially, the stabilization of the graduate route visa.
Okay, let's define that clearly for the listener. What does the graduate route visa actually allow, and why is it such a big deal compared to, say, the US system?
Right. So the graduate route visa allows any international student who successfully completes a degree in the UK bachelor's, master's, PhD to stay and work or look for work for up to 2 years after graduation.
2 years, okay, or 3 years if they complete a PhD. But here's the absolute kicker. This visa is non-sponsored. Non-sponsored, meaning
you don't need a specific job offer from an approved employer before you apply for the visa. You just need to have graduated from an eligible UK university.
wow. Okay, that is different.
It's a massive policy incentive compared to the sponsorship requirements you often find in the US or other countries. It gives students 24 months or 36 for PhDs of crucial breathing room. Time to gain professional experience, network like crazy, and hopefully secure a long-term sponsored role if they want to stay longer. It significantly de-risks that high investment of a British education.
That sounds like a phenomenal competitive advantage, honestly. But okay, if we're talking trade-offs, the UK is notoriously expensive, right? Especially London. So what does the source say about balancing that prestige and the really attractive 2-year visa with the, let's face it, intense financial strain?
The sources are very clear on this. The cost of living, particularly housing, in the major cities like London, Edinburgh, Manchester, it's a primary financial deterrent, no question. So that visa is great, but you still need to find a job pretty quickly to afford living there. Exactly. You need to be able to support yourself during those 2 years. And the UK's high tuition fees, while maybe varying a bit, remain a significant barrier, especially compared to some of the European neighbors we'll discuss later.
Right.
However, the sources also note the cultural pull is undeniable. That compelling mix of history, the sheer global diversity of a city like London, the deep academic immersion. These are all noted as being potentially worth the cost for certain fields, particularly things like humanities, law, finance, the arts, fields where the UK has that deep historical strength. Okay, so UK ancient tradition, cutting-edge research, plus this very powerful post-study work visa, but balanced against high costs. It's a good summary. Now, Canada rounds out this powerhouse group, but its selling point feels distinct again.
How so?
Well, while it certainly features world-class universities, University of Toronto, McGill, UBC, they're all highly ranked. Its real strength, according to sources, lies less in that ancient tradition and more in forward-looking stability and policy coherence.
Policy coherence, meaning they have a clear plan for international students.
Exactly. Canada has positioned itself masterfully, really, as the primary destination for international students, whose long-term goal might actually be permanent residency and eventual citizenship.
Ah, okay. So they're not just attracting talent, they're actively trying to keep it.
Precisely. They are retaining it through highly transparent and, frankly, quite generous policies compared to many other places.
So how do they actually link education directly to career growth and immigration more smoothly than, say, the US or even the UK with its 2-year window?
It really boils down to the post-graduation work permit, PGWP system, and how that integrates with their main immigration system called express entry.
Okay, explain the PGWP.
So the PGWP is a policy that allows students who graduate from an eligible Canadian designated learning institution, basically, most universities and colleges, to get an open work permit.
Open meaning?
Meaning you can work for almost any employer anywhere in Canada. You're not tied to one specific job offer. And the length of the permit depends on the length of your study program, but it can last up to 3 years.
3 years? Again, that's significant.
It is. And that 3-year window provides ample opportunity to gain the required Canadian work experience. Often just 1 year of skilled work experience is enough.
And once they have that Canadian work experience, what happens then?
That experience becomes like gold dust through the Express Entry Point system and also various provincial nominee programs, or PNPs. Canada literally grants significant points for having Canadian education and Canadian work experience. It provides one of the most direct, merit-based pathways from being a student to becoming a long-term resident, potentially a permanent resident, anywhere in the world.
That sounds incredibly structured.
It is, and the sources really emphasize that this policy clarity, combined with Canada's overall stability, its welcoming multicultural environment, think Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and its reputation for genuinely friendly residents. It all provides a kind of soft landing for students who are serious about potentially building a permanent life there. So it's really a complete package then. High academic standing, a super clear policy path from study to work to potential residency, and you also get the stunning natural settings, the mountains, the lakes, all that. Yeah, the lifestyle component is definitely a bonus.
It seems like if stability and a clear long-term immigration goal are paramount for a student, Canada looks pretty unbeatable in this top tier. That's certainly the impression the sources give for that specific priority. So just to synthesize this first section quickly, the U.S. offers maybe the highest global academic brand recognition and research depth, but it demands the highest cost and involves significant logistical complexity, even with OPT.
Right. The UK offers that deep tradition plus a really powerful 2-year non-sponsored work visa, which helps offset its high tuition and living costs. And Canada offers a stability-focused approach, with arguably the clearest and most generous policy pathway linking education directly to long-term residency.
That distinction is critical. Okay, great. Now let's pivot away from that high-prestige, often high-cost model and look at Europe, where the value proposition seems to shift quite dramatically towards affordability and accessibility.
Absolutely. When we look at the key European destinations highlighted in the sources, we see maybe a core commitment to the student potentially as a future member of the workforce, often subsidized quite heavily by the state.
So a fundamentally different value proposition.
I think so, yeah. High-quality education, absolutely, but also access to very progressive societies and the immense benefit of studying within the European continent itself.
And that geographic accessibility must be huge, right? The idea of just hopping on a train for a weekend trip across borders within a single visa zone. It sounds like a massive quality of life benefit during a degree.
It is a big plus, but let's just clarify that slightly for our listener, as the sources do note this nuance. The Schengen area facilitates travel without internal border checks. So yes, weekend trips to Rome or Paris or Prague are generally very easy if you're studying, say, in Germany or France.
Okay.
However, you still need a specific national student residence permit, basically. A long-stay visa for the country where you are actually enrolled and studying. It's not quite a unified EU student visa yet.
Ah, right. So you can travel easily, but your right to live and study is tied to one specific country's permit.
Exactly. That nuance is crucial for logistical planning. But still, the freedom of movement for tourism and cultural immersion within Europe is pretty much unparalleled. But you're right, the real differentiating factor for this group, compared to the first one, is affordability. Okay, let's start with the big one there, Germany. It really feels like the poster child for affordability in higher education. It absolutely is. The very fact that many, if not most, public universities in Germany offer free or extremely low-cost tuition, like a few €100 per semester in administrative fees, maybe even for international students from outside the EU, that completely changes the financial math of studying abroad.
It really challenges that US-UK prestige at a high price model directly, doesn't it?
It does. The sources emphasize that Germany's underlying philosophy here is that education is a public good, not primarily a commodity to be sold. And this allows students to access top-tier academic excellence, particularly in fields where Germany is a global leader, without acquiring potentially crippling levels of debt.
And their academic focus is traditionally laser sharp on technical strength, correct? Engineering, sciences.
Absolutely. Germany is the industrial heart of Europe. The sources specifically highlight the extremely strong technical engineering and hard science programs. Think institutions like TU Munich, RWTH Aachen, Heidelberg University for Sciences. The list goes on.
And this focus is linked to their economy.
Directly. It's linked to the nation's powerhouse economy, particularly the famous Mittelstand, that huge network of highly specialized small and medium-sized manufacturing and engineering enterprises that really form the backbone of German innovation. They need highly skilled graduates.
Okay, but if the tuition is free or very low, where's the catch? What are the necessary trade-offs for an international student choosing Germany?
Well, the trade-offs are significant, and they definitely require preparation. First, language. While many master's programs especially are now taught entirely in English, which is great.
Right.
To secure the best post-study work opportunities, particularly within those prestigious German engineering firms, or even in everyday life, a working knowledge of the German language is often, well, pretty essential.
Okay, so you need to be prepared to invest in learning German. What else?
Second, the cost of living. While tuition is low, living costs, especially housing in major academic centers like Munich, Hamburg, Berlin, Frankfurt, it can be high, and finding accommodation can be quite difficult. There's a lot of competition.
Right, demand is high.
Exactly. And third, students must be prepared to navigate the German bureaucracy. Now, it's generally highly structured and precise, but for newcomers, it can sometimes feel complex, maybe a bit slow, and requires patience.
So Germany offers this incredible financial incentive and real academic rigor, especially in tech fields, but it demands linguistic investment and logistical patience in return.
That sums it up well, I think. Now, moving nearby, we have the Netherlands.
Right, described in the sources as a quiet favorite. It seems to have built its appeal more through consistency, safety, and maybe an extraordinary international focus.
It feels like a highly practical and very accessible destination, yes. The sources note that its growing appeal seems driven by two main factors. First, English is incredibly common, both inside the classroom with many university courses offered fully in English, especially at master's level and just generally in society. Most Dutch people speak excellent English.
Okay, that lowers the barrier significantly.
It does. And second, the tuition is affordable. Now, it's not usually free, like in Germany, for non-EU students, but it's significantly lower than the Anglo-American model, often somewhere in the middle range.
I'm intrigued by the environment described in the source, that unique mix of safety and progressiveness. How does that actually translate into the student experience?
Well, it seems to create a remarkably mature, tolerant, and welcoming society for international students. Dutch institutions in cities like Amsterdam, Utrecht, Rotterdam, Leiden, they are true international hubs, hosting students from literally over 150 countries. The society prioritizes things like good governance, sustainability, personal freedom, and a high quality of life. And the sources even mention that unique daily experience of, cycling to lectures alongside canals.
Right, the bikes.
Yeah. It reflects a high standard of living paired with an emphasis on sustainable, active transport and also very high levels of personal safety. So for students looking for a very cosmopolitan, highly organized, safe environment with strong work opportunities, especially in areas like logistics, water management, tech, creative industries, the Netherlands seems to be a top contender.
Okay, practical, safe, international, and lower cost than the UK-US. Makes sense. Now, France.
Ah, France. Here we get the blend of, global high culture and surprisingly robust state support for students.
Okay, state support is interesting. The sources emphasize affordability again here. How does that work in France?
Well, similar to Germany in some ways, the public university system in France maintains very affordable tuition rates. Sometimes it's just a few €100 per year for registration fees, even for international students.
Again, a huge difference.
Massive. And beyond just low tuition, the French government actively subsidizes the cost of living for international students in quite direct ways.
Okay, that's a detail we definitely need to highlight. Government subsidies. How does the French state practically support international students financially?
The key program mentioned is the allocation logement, which is basically housing assistance provided by the national agency called CA, the Caisse d'allocation familiale.
Okay.
This is a national benefit, and it offers a monthly financial contribution to help cover rent costs. Importantly, it's available to students, including foreign students, based on income and rent cost. This can significantly reduce the financial burden, especially in high-cost cities like Paris.
Wow, direct help with rent. That's huge. So you get affordability, world-class education, plus that undeniable cultural charm, Paris, the Riviera.
Exactly. The lifestyle appeal is a major draw.
But France is also famous for its elite institutions, right? The Grand École. Is the sticker price the same there? Are they also super affordable?
No. This is the crucial distinction the sources make. The public university system, offering great academic variety in business, arts, humanities, general sciences, is incredibly affordable, as we said.
Right.
However, the elite Grande École, these are the highly selective, often specialized professional schools, famous for engineering like Polytechnique, or business like HEC Paris, or political science like Sciences Po Sommeliers. They generally operate outside the main public university funding system.
And they charge higher fees, much higher tuition fees, often comparable to private universities elsewhere. So the listener really needs to decide. Are they pursuing the highly affordable public university route, or are they aiming for the highly prestigious but also much more expensive Grande École route? Both offer great education, but the cost model is totally different.
Okay, that's a vital clarification. Affordable public system, expensive elite track.
Yeah.
But either way, the lifestyle appeal setting near landmarks like the Eiffel Tower down on the sunny French Riviera is a major cultural draw.
Undeniably. And finally, in our European group, we arrive in Sweden. Sweden. The sources position this one as selling a powerful philosophy, really, rooted in progress, equality, and independent thinking.
That's right. Sweden's whole education philosophy seems to be its unique selling point. The system is really built on fostering creativity, critical thinking, and independent research. It tends to move away from rigid hierarchical structures you might find elsewhere.
So more collaborative, less top-down.
Exactly. Institutions like Lund University, Uppsala University, KTH Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm, they're globally respected for this innovative, quite egalitarian approach to learning. Lots of group work, project-based learning, close contact with professors.
What about the costs, though? We know Northern Europe, Scandinavia, can be pretty expensive to live in. Does the affordability theme hold up here?
It's a bit more mixed in Sweden. While students from the EU, EEA, or Switzerland often enjoy free tuition.
Okay.
Students from outside those areas, so most international students, do have to pay tuition fees at both bachelor's and master's levels. And these fees can be quite substantial, sometimes comparable to the UK, depending on the program.
Ah, okay. So it's not like Germany or France in that respect for non-Europeans.
Not generally, no. However, the trade-off here, according to the sources, is the potentially unparalleled quality of life and the strong social values embedded in the society.
What does that mean in practice for a student?
Well, students benefit from an incredibly high standard of living, generally very safe cities, and a massive national emphasis on things like gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, work-life balance, and a culture that really prioritizes sustainability and environmental policy. Most courses are taught in English too, which helps access.
So Sweden might appeal more to a student who prioritizes social progress and maybe an ethical approach to their field business, science, policy, almost as much as the pure academic attainment.
That's exactly how the sources position it. If those social values and that specific educational philosophy resonate strongly with you, then Sweden, despite the cost, could be the perfect fit.
Okay, great. Let's quickly summarize Europe then. Germany is the ultimate financial incentive, especially for tech, but demands German language skills for the best outcomes. The Netherlands offers a really easy entry point with high safety, lots of English, and international diversity at a moderate cost. France offers that amazing culture plus government-backed housing subsidies with a choice between affordable public unis and pricey elite schools.
Correct.
And Sweden offers a progressive, creative education model and exceptional quality of life, but generally comes with higher tuition fees for non-Europeans. The key theme, though, is generally lower tuition than the powerhouses, even if living costs remain a factor.
Well put. And that shift towards lower tuition or state support really differentiates this group.
Definitely. Okay, now let's shift hemispheres for our third and final group, the Asia-Pacific's dynamic destinations.
Right. And this region, as we know, is currently seen as the global engine of economic growth and especially technological acceleration.
So these destinations offer a unique promise. What is it?
The sources suggest it's about combining things like incredibly high safety standards, a major draw for students and parents, with desirable post-study work options, and a cultural experience defined by this fascinating blend of high-tech modernity and often very deep ancient traditions. Plus, often amazing lifestyle options, whether urban or outdoors.
This region definitely feels like it's all about momentum, doesn't it? Okay, let's start with the one the sources explicitly flagged as the potential surprise entry.
Yes, number 7 on their list.
South Korea. Okay, why were the sources so keen to call this one a surprise? I mean, we all know the global reach of K-pop, K-dramas, the cultural wave is huge, but why is it now moving into the absolute top tier of education destinations?
Well, the surprise factor, I think, comes from its incredibly rapid and very much government-backed ascent in academic quality, especially in specific fields, and its clear commitment to internationalization. South Korea isn't just catching up anymore. In some areas, it's actually leading.
Leading, okay.
So while we absolutely recognize the cultural exports, they're impossible to ignore. The sources argue it's the academic intensity behind that cultural boom, especially in high-tech fields, that's really propelling it into the global top tier for students.
Okay, tell us more about that specific academic focus then.
It is heavily concentrated on technology and innovation. You have world-class institutions like Seoul National University, SNU, which is the comprehensive flagship,
Right.
and then KAIST, the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. KAIST, for instance, operates almost like a massive national R&D center, focused purely on science and engineering. It often ranks right alongside global giants like MIT or Caltech for specific engineering disciplines and computer science research.
Wow.
They're explicitly training the future workforce for the digital age. The focus is intense on areas like semiconductors, advanced materials, AI, robotics, battery technology, things where Korean companies are already global leaders.
Okay, but this kind of high quality and deep high-tech immersion usually comes with a really high price tag, doesn't it? How does South Korea tackle the affordability hurdle, especially compared to, say, the U.S.?
They tackle it head-on with aggressive government funding and specific targeted financial aid for international students. The sources really highlight the Global Korea Scholarship, or GKS, as the crucial affordability lever here.
The GKS, what does that cover?
Now, it's highly competitive, there's no doubt about that. But it's remarkably comprehensive for those who get it. It often covers the full tuition fee, a monthly living allowance, round-trip airfare, health insurance, and even includes funding for a year of preliminary Korean language training before you start your degree.
Full ride, basically, including language training.
Pretty much, for the top applicants. And this level of commitment really shows that the South Korean government views attracting top global talent not just as an educational nice-to-have, but as a core national strategic imperative for their future economy.
Okay, so it's a dynamic culture, blending K-pop and cutting-edge tech with deep traditions. Very intense focus on technology, and potentially very affordable through scholarships like GKS. What's the trade-off? What are the challenges of studying in this immersive, high-speed environment?
Well, the sources do note the potential for very high academic pressure and intensity. The pali-pali hurry culture is real. The pace of life, especially in major cities like Seoul, can be relentless.
Okay, demanding.
And secondly, language again. While many graduate programs, particularly in science and engineering at places like KAIST, are taught largely in English, truly assimilating into daily life, and especially navigating the highly demanding Korean corporate work environment after graduation, generally requires a significant investment in learning the Korean language and understanding the unique cultural nuances in workplace hierarchy.
Right, language and intensity. Got it. Okay, moving south now to the city-state of Singapore. Yes, Singapore. Here, the core selling point feels like efficiency, connectivity, and just sheer strategic location in Asia. It's consistently lauded, almost universally, for its trifecta of quality of life factors: exceptional safety, meticulous cleanliness, and a really vibrant, sophisticated, multicultural city living experience. It's often seen as the benchmark for organized urban excellence. And academically, it definitely punches way above its weight class, right? Hosting major world-ranked institutions on a relatively small island.
Absolutely. The National University of Singapore, NUS, and Nanyang Technological University, NTU, are consistently ranked among the world's elite universities. They're known for excellence, particularly in business, finance, engineering, computer science, and technology management. Singapore is essentially an intellectual powerhouse concentrated on a small, hyper-efficient island.
And being right there at the strategic heart of Southeast Asia, I assume the career opportunities are pretty immediate and crucial for students.
They are, yes. Singapore is the regional headquarters for countless global multinational companies, particularly in finance, fintech, logistics, pharmaceuticals, and advanced manufacturing. Studying there provides students with crucial immediate access to high-level global career opportunities right on their doorstep. It's a major hub.
Okay, sounds amazing. What's the catch? There must be one. The catch is pretty straightforward: the incredibly high cost of living.
It consistently ranks as one of the most expensive cities in the world, often rivaling or even exceeding costs in places like London, New York, or Zurich. Physical space is obviously limited on the island, making housing rent especially, and just daily expenses extremely steep. So while the opportunities are immense, you need significant financial resources to study and live comfortably in Singapore. Okay, so Singapore. Ultimate urban efficiency, safety, top universities, and amazing career access, but comes with a very, very high price tag. That's the trade-off, yes. Now let's go to Japan.
Japan. This one offers what is perhaps the most unique cultural juxtaposition on the entire list, wouldn't you say? That rare combination of deeply rooted ancient culture and absolutely cutting-edge futuristic innovation.
It really is an experience of constant, fascinating contrast and stimulation. The sources paint this picture where one day you might be participating in a centuries-old tea ceremony in a tranquil Kyoto garden. And the very next day, you're back in the lab researching the latest advancements in robotics or AI interfaces or material science at, say, the University of Tokyo or Kyoto University. This profound blend of old and new is really what makes the Japanese student experience potentially so memorable and unique.
Historically, though, language has been seen as a significant barrier for international students aiming for Japan, maybe even more so than in Korea or Germany. Is accessibility improving on that front?
It is improving, noticeably. The top Japanese universities are actively expanding their English language programs. These are often known as the G30 or Global 30 programs, initially, though the effort continues beyond that framework. It signals a serious commitment from the government and universities to attract more international enrollment.
So you can do a full degree in English, yes, increasingly so, especially at the graduate level, and in specific fields at the undergraduate level too. However, just like we discussed with Germany and Korea, the sources are pretty clear. While you can certainly earn your degree entirely in English, if your goal is to secure long-term employment after graduation or to truly integrate into Japanese society and culture, then achieving a high level of proficiency in the Japanese language is still largely considered essential.
Okay, so language investment is key for long-term goals. What about the practical elements? Safety, daily life, visas?
Japan is globally recognized for its remarkably high safety standards. Crime rates are extremely low, which provides immense peace of mind for international students and, importantly, their families back home.
That's a big one. Huge. Furthermore, the efficiency of daily life is often highlighted. Things like the public transport system, the famous Shinkansen bullet train, are incredibly reliable. Even administrative processes, while they can be detailed, are generally very orderly. And the sources also mention generally student-friendly visa policies, contributing to that overall sense of, well, tranquility alongside the incredibly rich cultural experience.
You need culture tech blend, growing English programs, amazing safety and efficiency, but requires serious language commitment for deeper integration in careers.
That captures it well. Now we arrive at the destinations that really successfully pair serious academic quality with an almost unbeatable outdoors sunny lifestyle.
Australia. Australia, yes, often described as the blueprint for that dream study abroad experience for many.
The reputation definitely precedes itself, doesn't it? You immediately think of Beaches, sunshine, wildlife, surfing, barbecues, that whole outdoor fun culture.
Exactly. But what about the academic weight? Is it just lifestyle, or is the education truly top tier too?
No, the sources confirm the academic quality is absolutely there. Universities like the University of Melbourne, University of Sydney, the Australian National University, ANU, in Canberra, University of Queensland, these are consistently highly ranked globally. Australia offers a genuinely vibrant academic life, particularly strong in fields like healthcare, medicine, environmental science, resource management, marine biology.
Things linked to its environment and economy.
Often, yes. And this strong academic offering is integrated pretty seamlessly with that high-quality leisure lifestyle that attracts so many people.
And just like Canada and the UK, Australia seems to be using policy quite effectively to solidify its appeal to international students, right? What's the policy advantage they're offering for post-study work?
The major draw here is their generally generous post-study work visa framework. This is usually facilitated through the temporary graduate visa, subclass 485.
Okay, the 485 visa, how does that work?
Well, the specifics can depend on the level of qualification you complete, and sometimes even the location within Australia, where you studied regional areas, sometimes get longer visas. But generally, it allows graduates of bachelor's, master's, or PhD programs to stay and work in Australia for several years after graduation. Typically 2 to 4 years, sometimes longer for specific degrees or locations.
Again, providing that crucial window to gain experience.
Exactly. This strong policy link between studying and the potential for post-graduation work is critical to its attractiveness. And Australia's economy is generally stable, with booming sectors like tech and healthcare alongside its traditional strengths, providing pretty good career prospects for graduates who want to stay and integrate their academic studies with that famous outdoor lifestyle.
Top universities, unbeatable lifestyle, and generous post-study work visas, making it a very complete package, especially if sun and outdoors are high on the list.
That's the pitch. And finally, just across the Tasman Sea, we have New Zealand.
New Zealand, often seen as Australia's slightly quieter, perhaps more scenic, and maybe even friendlier neighbor. It seems to focus heavily on creating a safe, supportive environment.
That's definitely the reputation New Zealand has earned, and the sources back it up. It's consistently ranked as one of the safest and friendliest countries globally for international students. This is a powerful advantage, again, for students and parents who prioritize security and a welcoming atmosphere. The sources really emphasize the high quality of life and the strong research culture, particularly be focused on certain areas.
Okay, where does New Zealand's academic specialization tend to lie?
Its focus seems to lean heavily towards research, particularly in areas related to sustainability, environmental policy, agriculture, geology, and certain types of innovation. Think institutions like the University of Auckland, the University of Otago down in Dunedin.
So maybe appealing to students passionate about the environment.
Very much so. For students who are deeply committed to tackling issues like climate change, renewable energy, conservation, or ethical agriculture, New Zealand provides an exceptional and very focused academic environment, often with close links to its unique natural landscape.
And they also tie education to career growth, like Australia does.
Yes, they do. New Zealand also offers quite generous post-study work options, allowing graduates time to find skilled employment and potentially transition to longer-term residency if they wish. And this is coupled, of course, with that absolutely breathtaking natural landscape, from snow-capped mountains to stunning beaches and fjords. It really appeals to the perhaps more adventurous, research-focused student who values work-life balance and a strong connection to nature. Okay, so New Zealand, incredibly safe and friendly, strong in research, particularly around sustainability, generous work options, and unparalleled natural beauty. That's the essence of it. So just to quickly synthesize this whole Asia-Pacific region, South Korea offers that intense tech immersion and potential government-backed affordability, but comes with high academic pressure and a significant language curve for integration.
Right.
Singapore provides unparalleled strategic business access and urban perfection, but at a very high cost of living. Japan offers that unique blend of ancient tradition and future tech, with growing English access, but still demanding serious linguistic investment for long-term goals. Australia delivers the sunny, outdoor lifestyle combined with top universities and strong career paths via generous post-study work visas.
Got it.
And New Zealand provides an exceptionally safe, scenic, and supportive environment, focused on sustainability and research, also with good post-study options and incredible nature.
Wow. That's quite a diverse and dynamic group.
It really is.
Yeah.
Shows how much the global landscape has shifted.
Okay. We have just undertaken a massive journey here, covering 12 of the world's absolute best study destinations for 2026, grouping them into those powerhouses of prestige.
Yep, the US, UK, Canada.
The European model focused on affordability and progress.
Germany, Netherlands, France, Sweden.
And these incredibly dynamic tech and lifestyle hubs of the Asia-Pacific.
South Korea, Singapore, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand.
It is a lot of information to take in, I know, but hopefully those categories help clarify the core trade-offs involved in choosing one over the other.
I think they do.
Yeah.
We've seen pretty clearly that, prestige is often purchased at a higher price. Think US and UK universities. While affordability, like in Germany or France's public system, often requires maybe more linguistic effort or navigating different bureaucratic systems.
And the post-study work flexibility seems strongest or clearest policy-wise in places like Canada, the UK with its graduate route, and Australia, New Zealand.
Yes, those pathways are quite explicit, whereas maximum tech immersion might be found in South Korea or maybe Singapore, depending on the field. And the sources made it absolutely clear throughout. High academic quality is actually present across all 12 of these nations. The decision isn't really about finding the only good university in the world anymore, is it?
Yeah.
No, not at all. And that's really the key takeaway for you, the listener, I think. The best country is entirely dependent on what you personally value most. We've tried to define the unique selling proposition of each of these 12. Germany largely solves the tuition problem. The UK's graduate visa directly addresses those immediate post-graduation career needs and uncertainties. Canada provides arguably the clearest path to permanence, if that's the goal. And a place like South Korea offers this total high-speed immersion in critical future industries like tech. Each has its own strong pull.
So this choice, it really becomes about logistical self-discovery in a way, doesn't it? Because studying abroad, as our sources strongly suggest, is always far more than just earning a piece of paper, a degree certificate.
Absolutely. It's about discovering yourself, embracing completely new global perspectives, maybe challenging your own assumptions, and ultimately building a future that is genuinely global in outlook.
But when you're faced with these 12 phenomenal choices, all offering great education, the underlying decision, maybe the first decision you need to make, isn't purely academic, and it's maybe not even purely cultural.
No, I think you're right. It's fundamentally logistical and deeply personal. It's about matching the practical realities with your own priorities and goals. Okay, so here is the final, maybe provocative thought we want to leave you with, based on all the material we've just analyzed. Since all these 12 nations offer high-quality education in their own right, the real question you perhaps need to start with is this. Which one of these 12 destinations best balances your desired level of cultural immersion? Whether that's the cycling in the Netherlands, the K-pop scene in Seoul, the historical charm of France, the beaches in Australia with the absolutely practical, non-negotiable, essential need for post-graduation career accessibility and visa security that fits your life plan. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. And the answer to that question, that balancing act, will probably tell you exactly where your next potentially life-defining global adventure should begin.